Welcome to another video, but with a twist. I have found solo play intriguing all these years, but hands rolling dice and people looking at tables with long pauses in between, it is just not for me. I love a more cinematic kind of approach to the game. I like to see beautiful artwork, drawing me into the adventure, and have some kind of immersion when I watch them. So I thought, why not? Now, with a plethora of AI bots, I can have a truly unique experience while playing both the game master and the player, exploring a new game, Symbaroum in this case, and a new adventure, the first part of the Chronicles of the Copper Crown, the Promised Land. Doing the same thing over and over again tends to be boring, for me as a creator and I guess for you as a viewer. So this is an experiment, playing an adventure as a solo player while showcasing the important parts of it. It seems to be like a fun thing to do. You can still get the walkthrough of the module, as you did on the previous videos, but from another angle. I'm starting small, because those videos needs exponentially more work than my regular ones. On the other hand, they're really fun for me, so I guess that's definitely worth my time. Your thoughts and acceptance will be the judge of that though, whether more or longer adventures of Symbaroum or any other world or system would be explored in that way in the future. All roles have been made beforehand, and the AI has decided on crucial point events when decisions had to be made. I have no idea where this story would lead me. This is so fun. I bet I will enjoy it with you as the game runs. So, with no further ado, welcome to Chapter 1, The Promised Land. Let's start with some introductions though. The world has become a desolate wasteland, and hope was a commodity in short supply. The south, once a bastion of life and vitality, lay in ruins, its people scattered and desperate for salvation. For many, the only hope lay in the north, in the lands of Umbria, where the promise of a better life beckoned. But reaching Umbria was easier said than done. The journey was long and perilous, fraught with danger at every turn. The first step was to reach the camp of the Ends of the Titans, the cliff of Corinda. A task that few had managed to accomplish. Those who did make it faced an even greater challenge, finding a ticket to one of the caravans that will take them to their destination. For the brave adventurers who dared to make the journey, the road ahead was filled with uncertainty and danger. They would have to navigate treacherous terrain, battle against hostile forces, and brave the elements as they sought to reach their goal. But for those who succeeded, the rewards were great. A chance at a new life, in a land where hope still burned bright, at the promise of a brighter future for themselves and those they loved, our heroes. The knight had known nothing but loss and despair. His once proud noble house lay in ruins, decimated by the horrors of the Great War, leaving him with nothing but memories and a burning desire to reclaim his family's legacy. But fate had given him a chance to redeem himself. He had been accepted into the elite Queen's Panzers, serving with distinction as the rear guard, while the Queen and her people embarked on the perilous journey through the treacherous Titans. And now, with his service completed, he was determined to rebuild his family's estate and name from the ashes of destruction. The path ahead was fraught with danger and uncertainty, and he had no clear plan for how he would achieve his goal. But he knew one thing for sure: he had to start by reclaiming his roots. Returning to his family's ancestral grounds, he dug deep into the soil, clutching a pouch filled with precious dirt. It was a symbolic gesture, a way of connecting him with his past and laying the foundation for his future. But the road ahead was long and treacherous. The damn mountains loomed in the distance, a seemingly unsurmountable obstacle standing between him and his dreams. But the knight was undaunted. With courage in his heart and determination in his soul, he set forth, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, and determined to rebuild the House Dar noble legacy once more. With a heavy heart, he embarked on a journey of solitude fraught with danger and uncertainty. As an apprentice of the mighty Ordo Magica, he had always dreamt of unlocking the secrets of the dying earth and the mysterious Davokar forest. But fate had dealt him a cruel blow, snatching away his master and leaving him alone in a world torn apart by chaos. Undeterred by the looming threat of death and destruction, he set out on a perilous quest to find his old colleague, Master Vernum, who was rumored to reside in the treacherous Thistlehold. As he braved the unknown, haunted by the memory of his fallen mentor, he knew that he must summon all his courage and strength to survive the challenges that lay ahead. For that was the last hope to pass the Titans and reunite with his order once more, seeking to unlock the secrets of the universe before the darkness consumed everything. Orlan had never been one to shy away from a fight. As a knight of the realm, it was his duty to protect the innocent and uphold the order. And so it was that he found himself in the dark forest near the cliff of Corinda, one fateful night, drawn by the sounds of a scuffle. There he found Bartolom, a young wizard of mystical powers but frail body, lying on the ground, bloodied and battered by a group of thugs. Orlan knew he had to act fast if he was to save the wizard's life. With his sword drawn, he charged into battle, striking down the attackers with a fury born of righteous anger. As the last of the thugs fell, Orlan knelt beside Bartolom, his heart heavy with worry. The wizard was barely alive, his injuries severe, and his breathing shallow. But Orlan refused to give up on him. Gathering the wounded man in his arms, he carried him to safety, determined to nurse him back to health and keep him safe from harm. He was a young boy after all. And so it was that Orlan and Bartolom formed an unlikely bond, a knight and a wizard brought together by fate and bound by a shared sense of duty. From that day forward, Orlan swore to protect young Bartolom with his life, and the two of them embarked on a journey that would take them to the very edges of the known world, battling against foes both mundane and magical, and forging a friendship that would stand the test of time. Chapter 1. Onwards to Yndaros. The heroes found themselves on the cliff of Corinda, south of the Titans. 40 wagons were parked in random patterns, and between them tents, most of them tiny and weathered, but some looking like small palaces made of cloth. The people around the fire prepared their supper and discussed the latest in a long list of bad news. Attacks from the east on the trail, too many refugees getting piled on this place, and the caravan owners deciding to stop their travels against the Titans. Only one last caravan will go through, and the rest will sit down and await the winter to pass.
Have you heard? They're planning to call it quits for the time being.
What do you mean?
They've decided to make ready for winter here. This damn camp is gonna be our home for the next 5 months or so. The snow is approaching rapidly. Now that would be a disaster to say the least. I really don't want to spend the next months in this shithole.
Orlan brought his pouch of dirt in his nose and took a quick whiff out of it. Yeah, that will not happen. He stood up, taking his huge sword with him, and towered over Telk. Who is the man in charge of your wagon?
Argasto. There, in the red tent.
He pointed at the most good-looking palace tent on the southern part of the camp.
He's the caravan leader of House Gallia. It should be the last convoy that passed through the Titans, or so they say.
The camp is located at the cliff of Corinda, the last bastion of the south and the frontier of the north. A fortified garrison of 100 soldiers, well secured, protected and fortified. It houses all 3 major trading houses of Umbria: House Gallia, House Melion, and the Agrella Guild. But also the dumping point of all the people not making it to the other side, the piling refugees. There is a screening process that allows or blocks refugees from getting through the Titans. Guards and black cloaks perform the procedures, making sure that the blight won't pass through Umbria. Orlan reached into the tent and finds a middle-aged bald man sketching on some maps. "Good day, sir. I was told that you are the last caravan that is planned to pass through the Titans, and I would like to know if there's a spot for 2 more travelers.
Unfortunately, young man, all my seats are taken.
I understand. But I would suggest that a mystic and a Queen's Panzer would be a great value of protection in your rough travels nonetheless.
I see your point. I'll tell you what, it is a slow night. How about you and your friend participate in a friendly fight until first blood with my guards? You bleed them, you take their place. After all, I need the best of the best to protect me on my last trip ahead. And what best way to put in action your acolytes?
A valid point. Me and Bartolom will be ready when you are. People are starting to gathering at the center of the camp. The light rain starting to plague the fires, but it only managed to make shadows dancing even more aggressively. The news of the last caravan leaving Corinda had disheartened most of the refugees, so a little bit of entertainment doesn't sound that bad right now. Orlan and Bartolom stood on one side of this custom main arena, and on the other side 3 guards started to take their place. Seasoned fighters, 2 men and a woman. Looks like they have passed through the mountains before. They seem tough and ready to fight.
Why are there 3 of them?
Asked Bartolom, looking at Orlan puzzled. Argasto wants only the best of the best, it seems, to guard him. If he is to replace 2 of them, they better be higher quality than his 2 own guards. Smart man.
Yeah, cunning, I would say.
The fat middle-aged man stood in the middle and started to prepare the viewers for the fight. It was obvious to Orlan that he is taking advantage of the situation to decompress the tension that has been building up due to the decision to stop the travels through the mountains. Before though his speech was even finished, everybody watched in shock when a dagger flied by his left side and headed straight for the head of the knight. In a lightning move, Orlan moved his huge sword upwards, interjecting with the trajectory of the dagger towards his eyes.
To first blood it is. No more words.
Orlan turns to Bard. This one's mine. Bartolom pushed the back end of his staff twice in the hard floor, lightening his eyes with a yellow flicker, and shouting an inaudible sound from his mouth while kicking the red coals with his foot towards the 3 guards. The guard pulls her shield to cover herself, but the fire and brimstone that flew towards her find her in the face, drawing the first blood. Cursing and throwing her weapons on the ground, she was out. The other guard charged Bartolom with full force, and in a split second thrust his dagger towards Orlan in a masterful motion of confusion and deceit. The dagger lands straight on the chainmail of the unexpected knight, and its point stuck on it. Bart and the rest of the bystanders took a deep breath and watched with their eyes wide open, while Orlan pulls out the dagger and looks at its edge. No blood. The armor held, while he regained his martial expertise and lunged at the charging guard with his huge 2-handed sword. The last guard pulled up his shield and prepared an attack on the raging knight. Orlan turned was up. He lowered his sword with a devastating force, landing it on the upper side of the charging guard, on top of his shoulder, pulling it off, allowing a gush of blood to start pulsing out like an endless stream of a blood river. The guard falls down on the ground and starts yelling for a medic to come help him. His cries send quivers to the non-fighting refugees watching in shock. "I told you he was mine," said to Bart with a grin on his lips.
Glad that you're entertained.
The last guard regained his stance and dropped his weapon to the ground. "I'm not paid for this shit! I'm out!" Argasto looked ecstatic at the new recruits that would be protecting him during his last pass through the Titans this year. The caravan has left the camp, and the journey north has begun. The landscape is still forested, often so densely that the characters cannot see more than trees and wobbling wagons on the road ahead. The journey goes slowly upwards, winding between wooden hills and shallow canyons. At times, the wagons reach a crest from where towering mountains can be seen further north. The sun shines from a clear blue sky, as if the sun god Prius has heard their travelers' prayers for good weather conditions. Even Argasto seems at ease.
Lawgiver face smiles, warmly oving the pass. That bodes well.
At dusk, it is as usual time to make camp. And the caravan forms a choral. The Ordo Magica novice Edira walks off to wash the road dust away in a nearby stream, and shortly after, a cry is heard. "Thieves! Thieves!" While the novice was bathing, someone sneaked up and went through his coat. The sandstone was taken from his inside pocket. What the heck is a sandstone?
It is an artifact that has the power to amplify fire, in a sense. I've read that wizards tied a wild fire spirit in it, allowing them to command it. I guess keeping us warm would be a task it could deliver, and it seems that they expect heavy winter up ahead.
His response was cut abruptly by Argasto.
The caravan may not be able to keep warm if the worst happens high up in the mountain. Retrieve the sunstone, or we must turn back, favored by Prius or not.
And that will conclude Chapter 1, Onwards to Yndaros, and will lead us into Chapter 2, In the Company of Thieves. Thanks again for being here. Make sure to tell me how this experimental take was for you. Would you like to see more videos like that? You are the driving power of this channel, so your opinion really matters. This was the RPG Lore Master, and welcome to my thief-infested cold table.